So when I first started reading books at the tender age of 17, I really had no idea how much it would affect my life. Now, almost every book I read is setting me up to ditch my 9 to 5. These books didn't just inspire and entertain me. They gave me frameworks, mindset shifts, and real time leverage. In this video, I'm gonna be breaking down exactly how I use books to build a life beyond my 9 to 5. And I'll share the 3 books that had the biggest impact on me throughout my entire life. Chapter 1. The problem with most readers. Most people read books the same way they watch Netflix. They pick the most popular shows, they consume, they get inspired, and then they just move on with their life. But if you're trying to build something, whether it's a business, a side hustle, or just a more fruitful life, you have to choose what you consume consciously. And in this case, you really need to read with purpose. So for me personally, that meant changing why I read, how I read, and what I did after finishing the book. So I started to develop this mindset that if I didn't apply what I learned in the book in my everyday thinking or in actual practical life, that means either I really didn't read it or what I read really didn't help me at all. Chapter 2, the first real game changer, personal finance books. So the first book I would recommend is one of my favorites. It's The Psychology of Money. This is the first book that genuinely shifted my mindset on personal finance books. I was really lucky that one of the first books that I read happened to give honest and mostly practical advice. And this is a problem now because nowadays the internet is riddled with scams, false promises, and basically get-rich-quick schemes. So keep in mind that books, personal finance books, including this one, before they were popular on the internet, during my late teens and early 20s, I had already grasped the idea of passive investment and compound interest. And if you compare it to people in the past, these are concepts that people are only first introduced to in their 30s, even later than that, or they might have never heard of that. So, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. One of the main takeaways that I learned from it was that wealth isn't about just how much you earn. It's about how you live and the freedom you have. And when I realized this, it changed everything. I realized that chasing the jobs with the highest comp often came with the most hours and sometimes the worst working conditions. Instead, I set my eyes on things that provided the most freedom in time and energy. So, this time that I'm gaining can be spent doing whatever I wanted. If I wanted to earn more money, I could use my free time to start working on side businesses, side hustles, ergo this YouTube channel. And a lot of chapters gave a really good perspective on money and obviously the psychology around money. It also gave me peace of mind and a strategy. It helped me to understand the traps of working in the corporate world. But don't just take my word for it. Many YouTubers have actually revealed that the psychology of money has improved their mindset with money. And one of the most popular YouTubers that inspired me to read it was Ali Abdallah. And he realized that financial success doesn't just equal having more money, but it's having a sense of purpose that you're constantly working towards. Chapter 3. Not everyone was born a millionaire. So, the second book which I read when I was really young was Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. And if you don't know who this is, he is one of the founders of Nike. So, let me explain. It's not a finance book. It's really just a story, a real biography from the founder of Nike. And what I found really powerful about this was that not just that he was building a multi-billion-dollar industry, but that Phil Knight was just a regular dude. And he actually really did not know what he was doing. So one of the things that I really loved about this book was how honest and real it was. And it showed that not all founders had a multi-billion-dollar empire in the early stages, and some of them were just regular people. And it gave me inspiration. So it showed that even with my own small business, I don't need to know everything. I just need the courage to keep going. Now, whenever I feel stuck in the routine of my 9 to 5, I think of this book. It really reminds me that building something meaningful always looks messy at the start. Chapter 4, Human Psychology, the 48 Laws of Power. Now, I know this one is going to be a bit controversial, but it's one of the most insightful books I have ever read. So it's the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. So I know a lot of people think this, and I thought this as well when I saw the cover of the book, is that the book is about manipulation and trying to take advantage of people. But I have to say, really the book is just pushing awareness. The book taught me how power actually works, especially in the real world. It teaches you how people think, act, and move when something's at stake. It's literally one of the best books for learning the dynamics in the workplace. So in my own personal life, this book has helped me to navigate office politics, protect my energy, and really play for long-term leverage on my peace of mind. I have to say it's one of the most entertaining of the three, and I highly recommend it. And it's really essential if you find yourself being quite naive in power dynamics and workplace situations. So if you didn't know, 50 Cent actually was really impacted by the 48 Laws of Power. And he even collaborated with Robert Greene on the next book called the 50th Law. And many famous people have been impacted by this book, including Jay-Z, Calvin Harris, and the CEO of American Apparel, who have actually quoted in board meetings the 48 Laws of Power help them in these power dynamics. Chapter 5, How I Read Differently Now. So you might be thinking, this is all great and all, that reading can give me so many benefits, but when will I actually find the time to read? And I know that sometimes it's hard to fit reading into your very busy schedule, but if making time for it will transform your life, I believe it's worth it. So I'll hit you with a quote. Reading an hour a day is only 4% of your day, but that 4% will put you in the top of your field within 10 years. Find the time. So I'll give you some practical tips. First off, you do not need to read cover to cover. If the chapter is boring or you don't think you're gonna learn anything from it, skip it or skim it. So personally, I try to make a conscious effort to read almost every day. And I try to read different genres of books. I'll give you a good story. My first ever personal finance book was bought on a whim. And this personal finance book had introduced me to passive investing and compound interest. And that investment knowledge has actually led to me earning more from my investing than my day job. And this was all bought on a whim. I'll hit you with another quote. Read books that are relevant to what you want to achieve, and then reading will never be boring. Every book I read has to answer one of these questions. How will this help me build the life I want faster? Will this book teach me something new? Can I broaden my horizons with this book? Am I enjoying reading this book? And that's how I read to outsmart my 9 to 5. Not for comfort, but for curiosity, clarity, action, and to escape the voices around me that are saying the same things. So yes, if you've reached this far in the video, you'll know that these 3 books really impacted my life. And I know they're really popular on other self-help channels, but these books didn't just motivate me, they really moved me to act, and some of them have shaped my life for many years. And if I had to give 3 books to read to design your life and escape your 9 to 5, it would be these 3. If you found this helpful, you know what to do. Subscribe, and let's build our life intentionally together.